Hey folks, just posting this in case someone else has this problem. Maybe they want to try and fix things themselves. This is a water pump shaft. Mine doesn't have any play in it. It was making a noise. And you see that grease on there. What I did was took some grease and a grease gun and a needle grease zerk and went into that rubber of that orange stuff there you see is a rubber seal on the sealed bearing, and poked through that rubber and greased in between each one. I went all the way around it. What happens is this is what's left of a mechanical seal that goes in behind the impeller, and I'll show you what it's supposed to look like. Here's the new one. Okay, that blue stuff on there, that's like a blue RTV valve sealer type stuff, Permatex that comes on it. I bought some the ultra gray. There's some syringes. I'm going to try and grease that a little more because these have a smaller needle on them. Not sure what gauge they are. Anyway, what I think people don't realize is this tube right here, you can see it, that tube right there has a channel that runs into here. And what it does is allows water to get out if that seal goes bad. And that monkey was just all tore up back in there, and the part itself was just demolished. Trying to get the focus and step from my finger. Anyway, so if you see some little drips underneath your bike, this is a 2001 Kawasaki Vulcan Nomad 1500, fuel injected, and it was starting to have some little drips, and then all of a sudden I start hearing some whining noises, and it sounded like it was coming from the water pump. So I decided to tear it apart. You have to take everything off the top to get to your filler tube, and that is your bleeder valve. So when you fill it back up, after I drained it out of the bottom, there's the amount of coolant that was in the radiator, and some of it dripped down from underneath here, and I kind of put a rag under there and tried to catch most of it, but there's actually a weep hole in this spot here. You can see the little marks here on this cover. The way it's made, if you look at it, it's got a little hole. So when you take that bolt out, it'll drain the rest out of that. Anyway, looks like my gasset's in good shape, so I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of this gray Permatex. It's ultra gray. Minor malfunction. Ultra gray Permatex valve or gasket maker. Anyway, I'm going to put that on the back of this where that blue stuff is. I'm going to put a little more of that because when you go to take that seal out, they require you take a screwdriver, or they say a chisel, but it looks like a screwdriver in the service manual, and beat in on this edge right here to get under the lip of that seal, to go all the way around it until you've gotten it beat down along this little tiny edge right here. So I'm going to put some of that sealer back around there after I clean that up real good and get some more grease in there, and try and put it back together, make sure she doesn't leak. But if you don't want to pay $96 an hour for somebody to repair your bike, because to get to that bearing, you have to take the motor out. You have to disassemble the motor, and you have to split the case back in here after you've gotten it apart to get to that bearing from the back side. Hopefully you don't have to do that, but